Hello and welcome to another episode of the Nothing But Football podcast, a football podcast where we give you everything football related and a couple things that aren't. This week, there was a lot of activity in football. I'm sure we'll be going through quite a bit in terms of game week 9 in the English Premier League. Shout out first and foremost to the South Africans playing abroad. We're going to talk about European football quite a bit. I think it's good to shout out our South African players out there in Europe play. First and foremost, we have a local legend in the making, Percy Tau. How did Percy Tau get on this weekend, Christos?
Percy Tau did well, playing for Anderlecht. He plays against Lovren. Scored the second goal where they drew 2-2. So I just wish he gets the opportunity to play for Brighton in the Premier League. I'd like to see him play there.
Well, I think I'm going to go on the side road here. The reason why he's not playing, apparently, is because of our FIFA rankings. South Africa is so low that when he applies for a work visa, it's like harder than normal.
So again, South African officials letting us down on that one.
Put our socks up.
Yeah, so in England, players outside of Europe need work permits. And to get a work permit, the rules say you have to be in one of the top ranking nations. I think it's the top 40?
Top 50.
Top 50. And you have to have played 75% of their games over the past 2 years. But we'll get into that. For now, I hope you're used to us by now. But let's just introduce three friends and fellow co-hosts. On my left, first and foremost, Chris, aka Uncle Curtis.
Yep. I'm back, guys.
Yes.
Football is beautiful. Heartbreak once again. What can I say?
And on my right, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Potion, aka Mpo.
How are you guys doing?
Are we good?
It's going to be another interesting topic about football and letdowns. So, yeah, let's get on to it.
All right, so let's just get into it. Let's just get straight into the Premier League, game week 9. I think we spoke about Percy Tau, and Percy Tau's on loan at Anderlecht from Brighton.
Yeah, from Brighton.
Now, Brighton over this weekend played away against Aston Villa and actually won the game 2-1.
That was a shock result to me. I do not see how Brighton beat Aston Villa, because Aston Villa do generally play better against the lower sides this season. Who did they lose to so far this season? They only lost to Leeds.
They lost a couple games.
Yeah, they lost to Leeds. 2 other games. They beat Liverpool. So they were looking solid. So I was quite surprised when they lost that game.
They took a 3-0 against somebody recently. Their games have been up and down. They've got a decent squad. Because I think Brighton's in the Premier League about a year or two longer than
Aston Villa. Yeah.
And Aston Villa. You remember Brighton comes into the league under Chris Hughton. Has some good performances under there. They get rid of Chris Hughton and bring in Graham Potter. Yeah. And their football's actually quite better this season. Right? And there's some decent players there. Tariq Lamptey, Ben White, who was at loan at Leeds last season. Yeah, last season in the Champions League. Leeds wanted him back. Quite a good defender. But a decent result.
I think the difference was Danny Welbeck in that game.
My man, Danny.
I did watch it. He actually had a good performance there. So, yeah, the guys are waking up. Lallana is also in there,
They did recruit decently then. Because even with Tariq Lamptey over there, got a red card in the 94th minute. But when you watch Brighton play, even though he comes from defense, he's very exciting to play.
Yeah, he is.
Running up and down, bursting up and down the wing.
Quite a decent game. But the game of the weekend. Let's chat about the game of the weekend. Tottenham, Man City. Jose versus Pep.
It's quite an upset if you look at it, the result.
A Mourinho masterclass?
Typical Mourinho. I want to call it a masterclass, but it's typical Mourinho.
Why wouldn't we call it a masterclass?
I do not like defensive football. It was a smash and grab. They literally won that game because a goal was disallowed in the first half. When it's debatable if it was a handball. Yeah. If it goes 1-1, I think City have the momentum to continue going on. So, don't get me wrong. They deserve to win it because it was a solid defensive performance. And that's why sometimes you get the rub of the green, where a goal should stand, where the goal doesn't stand. And then Man City are always chasing the game. And when you're always chasing the game against Mourinho, he'll hit you with a quick counter-attack, second goal, game over.
But Mr. Potion, is that not part of football? Does that not happen in football? When you're a goal down, you chase the game.
Well, I guess, like, he does have a point that once you go, like, get a goal disallowed, it kind of, like, demotivates you. Like, you feel like the world is kind of against you, i.e., in this case, the refs are against you. So, yeah, I can see where Uncle Curtis is coming from. And I can also understand what you're saying, that shouldn't really, like, discourage a team. But it was a masterclass from Mourinho.
Because another talking point that I also saw during the game, halftime, who was the ref again? Mike Dean. That man.
Oh, of course.
And when they showed why he disallowed the goal, and the man pointed to his shoulder. According to the new rules, this is not offside. I mean, it's not a handball. Handball is from the joint going down.
Yeah.
So we got refs who don't know the rules. 51-year-old men need to retire. That's all I can say.
Look, in my opinion, I think it's really one of those 50-50s. The goal being ruled out, I'm okay with it, but if the goal stood, I'm okay with it too.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those, it's so on the border. But just going back to the performance, I think we're talking about the disallowed goal and that. But Tottenham went top in this game, guys. Tottenham went top of the league. Let's talk about their performance.
Shame, I won't lie. I'll give them that. I don't like them, but their performances have been quite consistent since chowing you guys 6-1.
That's the only game they played attacking in, eh?
No. They scored 6 against United. They scored 7 in another game.
I'm talking about against top opposition. You see how far you've fallen down the pecking order, Lucas? Where Mourinho attacks against Man United? You would never heard that in the past.
Hey, let's stick to the game though. I think this was a great performance. I think tactically, when I look at the game tactically, right?
Yeah.
Because Man City, we kind of know how they play, right? They put their wingers high and wide. Reguilon and Serge Aurier had a good game. They put their 2 number 8s high up the pitch. Musa Sissoko and Højbjerg stayed in position, didn't give that ball around. Rodri generally sprays the passes out. Ndombele and Kane shackled him. I think it was a fantastic tactical performance.
I hear you on that part, right? But even when you look at the game, if Man City had a more clinical striker on the pitch, I feel Aguero puts one of the chances away.
Do you think they were clean chances?
A couple of them were decent chances. There was a couple of posts, if I'm not mistaken, unless that was another game, but a couple of them were decent chances. And when you have 80% possession in a game, you are bound when you have a top striker to score.
Now, you say when you have 80% possession in the game. Mourinho himself has previously said, I don't have to have the ball to control the game.
I hear you on that part, right?
Mourinho once wrote in his program notes, one of the easiest things to do in football is win 1-0.
So I hear you when you talk about that, right? But then when I say you look at the Man City chances, it's not like they weren't having shots. It wasn't that it was last minute blocks in a couple of instances and so forth. So in most games, I feel I've seen better performances from a Mourinho team in other games, right? Where there weren't so many shots, there weren't so many crosses going into the box. Gabriel Jesus, he's decent, but he hasn't proven himself to me to be a top striker in the Premier League because he goes hot and cold. They have Ferran Torres. So I think Mourinho's actually Pep. He's actually right now trying to find another top-class striker.
So are you giving this result more to City's weaknesses than to Tottenham's strength?
City have been struggling in front of goal for a very long time.
So are you giving this result more to City's weaknesses than Tottenham's strengths?
Yes.
Arsenal fan.
Yes. Yes, I am giving it that because even when you look at Spurs will do a Spurs and go lose against a random team.
Okay. Mr. Potion, Mourinho generally in his second season tends to have his best season when he's at clubs. Porto won the league second season. Chelsea the first time won the league second season. Real Madrid won the league second season. Inter won the league second season. Came back to Chelsea, won the league second season. Man United second season finished second.
Yes.
Still claims that as a good achievement. This is his second season at Spurs.
Yeah, no, but I feel like he already said this because I watched that documentary All or Nothing. I think he already said that like this team already is pretty good. Like what he had, he said, "Nah, listen, I can win something with this team."
Yeah.
So you're right about the second season thing. It should actually be. This is his time. If he doesn't do it now, then I don't know, because he's got one of the the best strikers even in Premier League history, you could say.
Yeah.
In Harry
Up
Kane.
there. Up there.
He's there. Got a like everything is decent in his team. So I think he like, let's give him his flowers. He actually should take it. Like, he's in the race. We can't disqualify him. He's in the race. And he's one of the top 6 managers who's doing pretty well right now. Everyone's going through a topsy-turvy phase, so I think we have to give it to him at this moment.
Uncle Curtis, you've mentioned about City's chances that they missed in that. How would you rate Spurs on the counter-attack? Because I think they did quite well on the counter-attack too. Obviously, City had more of the possession and maybe more chances. I wouldn't say they were clean chances, but I think Spurs had a lot of opportunity too on the counter-attack.
Yeah, but then with Spurs, I'm not going to judge them against how they play against City, especially away from home, because again, typical Mourinho, go away from home, make sure it's a clean sheet. If I get a goal or two, great.
It was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, it was at the stadium. Okay,
Yeah.
then against a top 4 opposition, you just keep a clean sheet. If I score 1 or 2, great. If I'm gonna judge him, against a Burnley when nobody's attacking him, where they sit back and they do his tactics to say, okay, let me get 1 goal, and then we'll see how it goes.
So now they've played 9 games, right? It's a quarter of the way through in the season. The table is starting to take shape. It's a quarter of the way. There's still 3 quarters to go. But after that 1 quarter, they're top.
They've always been good. I think there was a season or 2 ago they were top again. They fell off to finish 3rd or 4th.
Okay, so you're writing them off from history.
From history. It's Spurs.
Okay. Their performance in the game.
And I'm also writing them off according to how they play in the Europa League. Their second squad.
Okay.
They struggle to put teams away that nobody knows where they're from in the Europa League. So if Harry Kane or Son gets injured, what's going to happen to Spurs? Compared to the way Liverpool are handling injuries right now. I was shocked, but we'll discuss that later in the podcast.
So before we go on to talk about City, Spurs' next 5 games from here. Spurs is top after 9 games. Spurs' next 5 game is Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Leicester, and then Wolves. And there's an Arsenal game to reschedule. I don't know if it'll fall in those places. But as well as Europa League games and an EFL quarterfinal coming up. So in the next 5 games, I guess we'll get to see a lot about Mourinho Spurs.
Mm-hmm. They're playing who? Chelsea this weekend, Spurs.
Yeah, Chelsea coming up, then Palace, then Liverpool, then Leicester, then Wolves. That's a tricky...
It's a tricky run of fixtures, and I think already Spurs are at a disadvantage because Chelsea are playing today, on Tuesday in the Champions League. Spurs are playing on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then they're going to play Sunday again.
Yes.
Mourinho's going to fill the second string team over there. He's not going to risk Kane. He's not going to risk Son in the Europa League. And then if they come through that, I don't rate Frank Lampard that highly quite yet, right? But he did beat Mourinho once last season, if not twice. I don't know how many times he played Chelsea, but he played that 1 game. Mm-hmm. So the game I'm going to watch him play against is, if Zaha is playing, is against Crystal Palace.
So what do you think about the squad until that game happens?
By the way, Mourinho did lose to Lampard twice.
Yeah. Sure, but that's last season. No. Right? Last season, Mourinho's Tottenham has a boatload of injuries.
Yeah. This is when Son and Kane were struggling.
Yeah.
You see?
Boatload of injuries.
Boatload, but that's what I'm talking about. It wasn't
necessarily boatloads. They were weight ladders.
They had quite a few. Come on.
No. Which defenders were injured for them?
Hey?
Which defenders were injured?
For Spurs
last season? It was Kane. They were struggling to score. They weren't struggling. They were struggling to score.
That's
it was
why
Kane and Son.
They brought in Bergwijn and Jadson Fernandes to actually balance, not balance out, but help the attack.
Okay. Yeah. But so far, Spurs 9 games, and especially the game against City, because we're talking about that now. Spurs, the game against City. Do you give them their flowers for this victory?
I give Mourinho his flowers for that victory because it's a typical Mourinho
What is a typical Mourinho performance then?
Against a top 4 team, defend, counter attack, get the 1 goal, sit back, catch them on the second break again.
No, I say well done too.
Yeah.
So I say well done too.
Very good result.
It's a good result for
Didn't
Mourinho.
expect it.
I think they played well. I would even go as far as saying they were the better team. I think City had more of the ball, but they were pushed into areas Tottenham showed them into.
They basically imploded into themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let's talk about the City arm of this. Before the game, Pep Guardiola signed a new contract with City, an extra 2 years. This is going to be the longest he spent at a club then, if he fulfills his contract, right?
Yeah.
So how do we feel about City? Let me maybe start with how I saw City in terms of the game, right? I think in the game, look, they weren't helped by conceding a goal early, right? They conceded a goal within 5 minutes, and that obviously plays to Tottenham's hands, right? But they couldn't get their tactics going either. So like I say, they have De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva high up the pitch, but Højbjerg and Sissoko were on them. They didn't change tactic there. Like I say, Ndombele and Kane cut off Rodri, who that position is very important to Pep Guardiola. Remember when he goes to Bayern, he says, give me Thiago Alcantara and I'll win the league. Thiago Alcantara gets injured after a season, he says, give me Xavi Alonso, I'll win the league. That position is important to him. And just like we saw against Liverpool, and now Rodri got cut off. I don't think Manchester City really got to play their game. Mr. Potion, how do you see that? How do you see it from Man City's end?
I actually disagree with you. 80% says they did. I mean, they had 80% of the possession. You can't really say that Rodri didn't get to play his game. It didn't work.
Do you think Tottenham wanted possession?
I don't think so. I think they were more comfortable without the ball.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, I hear you saying they have 80%, but I want you to have possession.
Yeah, but I feel like saying that I think Rodri was kind of in control at some point, but it's just those guys worked hard on defense, the Tottenham guys.
Okay.
So I think we need to give them that on the fact that they were prepared. They knew, hey, we're not going to get a lot of the ball, and we need to make sure that when we get it, it counts. I think City were just too comfortable with the ball that eventually it started to frustrate them, as in like, hey, we've got so much of the ball and we're not doing much with it.
Yeah.
So like you see that a lot as well with Barcelona sometimes when we play. When something doesn't happen at a certain point, there starts to get like there's a pressure that starts to build up, as in like, we haven't done anything yet. Like we need to do something soon. And then the panic hits, and what happens? Mistakes come after that.
Okay. Mr. Curtis, tell us how you see the game, and let's also remember this is 8 games in for City. They've only scored 10 goals. Is the league figuring Pep out?
They've only scored 10 goals. I'm shocked at that, because I think it might be that the league is figuring Pep out, because his play is very predictable. It's go to the wings, stay in your positions. How it plays out, I don't know how it's going to play out for Man City this season, because they do not have that magical striker like they had for Kun Aguero for years, because I think he's fallen out of favor with Pep. I don't know why he's not playing.
Injuries. He just came back. He was on the bench for that game. It's his first game back.
But as they've given Gabriel Jesus a chance, they've given him a fair crack at this league. I might as well go as far as to say that Iheanacho was doing better for City than Gabriel Jesus, because Iheanacho would come on as an impact sub, would score. Jesus misses sitters from time to time. It's very on and off, but I think the league has failed to pick Pep out. And where I see this going, he signed that 2-year contract. Messi at Barca, that man is finished. He does not want to be there. You can see he's only scored 3-4 penalty goals this season.
Yeah.
He's not tracking back. So I think we might see Messi at City next season. And if they get